Hello, radio entrepreneurs, listeners, and watchers. And my name is Jeffrey Davis, and we are continuing to stream stories and plant stories about this new economy, how people are getting to work, going to work, adjusting to the economy, and continuing to pay our taxes and do the right thing. We have had a reporter on Radio Entrepreneurs since our first days, Rich Hirschen, partner at Gray & Gray. Always provided great input. Welcome back, Rich.
Hey, Jeff, how are you? Good to be here. Good to be back. Hope everyone's doing well. Sorry?
I said you're looking healthy.
Thank you. Yeah, feeling good, staying healthy, surviving this pandemic somehow. So
yeah, I didn't see you up on the White House stairs,
I was a guy with a mask on, so you probably couldn't recognize me. It's probably the only one.
Right. That was your Halloween mask. So, Rich, in this time where everybody's working remotely and it's harder to manage people, I assume fraud is a bigger issue and harder for companies to control than ever before. We've talked about this offline.
Yeah, I think so. I was actually just reading an article the other day that Dun & Bradstreet estimated that there'll be a 258% increase in ID theft, business ID theft, since just the beginning of 2020, which obviously corresponds to the pandemic. So it's a real issue out there. I mean, you read stories all the time, but there's just a lot going on. A lot of these government programs with PPP loans. I mean, there's been a lot of fraud there. On the individual level, I mean, we've seen a lot of clients getting these unemployment notices that someone's filed unemployment claims on their behalf. So there's been a lot going on out there. So businesses need to really be careful and keep an eye out for this stuff.
Yeah, I bet. And, what can you do? I mean, what do you tell employers who ask you, who've read these articles?
I mean, I think that the number one thing is really just be vigilant. So, keeping an eye on things, knowing who your employees are and keeping an eye on them. We recommend doing for new hires, if anyone's hiring right now, I mean, doing background checks on employees. There's companies out there and do a pretty simple background check and just doing that. Being vigilant with emails and things. I mean, there's so many email phishing scams and fraudulent emails. If you get any email with any sort of attachment that you're not expecting, you've got to think twice about clicking on that. And, best practice is call the person who sent it and make sure they actually sent it, because those emails then put things on your computer and they monitor everything you do and they get your passwords and get all kinds of stuff. So you have to be, very careful with that. Just double checking invoices. A lot of the stuff now that everyone's working remote, or maybe it used to be they'd have paper invoices. Now everything is electronic. So if you're the one signing off on paying the invoices or signing the checks, I mean, really just being vigilant and keeping an eye out for the invoices. Make sure you recognize them. Make sure that you were expecting that charge. Make sure the amount of the invoice is correct. And so on. And just making sure you've got good controls in place. A lot of companies, their control system was designed with everyone in the office. Now that everyone's remote, it's changed. So even just looking at bank statements, a lot of times they go to the office. I mean, you can have them switched and, have the owner of the company, log into the bank and download the bank statements themselves and look them over. So I think at a high level, it's really just being vigilant and being on the lookout for this stuff and being careful.
Rich, you're making me think about some companies that I'm familiar with. It used to be that, if you were partners or shareholders, that it was easy to go to partners meetings and to go into each other's offices and discuss financials and get online. Not everybody's financially adept the way you are. And some partners haven't seen each other in 4 or 5 months working in Zoom, and they may or may not have access to the financial accounts. And even if they have access, they don't understand how to read the stuff. And, what does someone do? I mean, I have heard from a couple of people that they're feeling very sort of defenseless against even their own their own partners about getting accurate financial information during these times. And people say, I'm so busy.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's busy and everyone does have a lot on their plate. My theory is that, you hire the experts to help you. And so if your accounting department is not strong enough internally to produce a financial statement that, the owner, whoever's overseeing that process, is comfortable with, then, get some help from your outside CPA to come in. As CPAs, and we go to board meetings sometimes, we help present financial statements and go over the results. So, look to your outside advisors, generally your accounting firm, and they can come in and do quarterly presentations of the financial results and help you interpret them, and look at trends. We strongly recommend the companies, even if it's just a simple one, but create a budget so you can see the spending. And then just a good check is comparing what was spent to what you budgeted. And if it's way over, or even way under, that might indicate a problem with your financial statement. So there's things like that. But I think to answer your question, I think if you don't feel like you have the expertise in house, or people are asking a lot of questions, bring in help from the outside, bring in the consultants. That's what we're all here for.
I think that's a good point. And, just to stick to my subject, when there are, let's say, more than one shareholder, and you're not the financial shareholder, you can still reach out to the accountant and ask for a presentation. That's a fiduciary responsibility that goes on. The partners can't stop that, correct?
I don't believe they can, but, it should be that if, whoever's in charge of that, either the leading partner or the CEO of the company, they should want their shareholders or partners to understand what's going on financially and have a good picture. And if the partners are having trouble doing that, I think the CEO or the person responsible should recognize that, and do their best to get those people some help. And, so maybe that involves a presentation or, something like that. But hopefully it's not all the owners calling in CPAs to look everything over. And hopefully it can be more of a collaborative approach, where if everyone's in the same boat, having a leader at the company get the help to make sure that everyone understands what's going on.
Right. Any other thoughts on how to deal with some of these things? And you say it's going to increase. Is there any technology that you think would help with something like this as well?
So, I think training employees on recognizing emails is very important. We've got a training program in our firm. So you get false emails, all the time. And they've got, you get an email from FedEx saying your package is on the way, click here to track it. And it looks very legitimate and looks real. And there's so many FedEx packages and things going out these days. You're like, oh, okay, let me see when that's coming. And, it can be fraudulent. And by clicking on that link, you've downloaded some malware to your computer that is now creating all kinds of problems. So we
FedEx,
implemented
Amex, Apple false emails. I get all of them.
There's a ton of them. And so we implemented a training program several years ago. And every couple of months we're required to take a class. And there are these video classes that you take. They're 10, 15 minutes, and it trains you on how to recognize, those spoof emails. It trains you to think about, oh, Jeffrey just sent me an email with a link from Dropbox, and I wasn't expecting anything. So I'm not going to just click on that link. I'm going to call Jeffrey and make sure that he sent it. And I think just beating that into the employees is the number one defense. As our IT guy has said, you can spend billions of dollars on all this fancy IT security and firewalls and all this other stuff. He goes, but if your employees are just clicking on anything that comes through, it's not going to work. And so I think educational programs like that are really key.
I'll add something else. Maybe you won't agree. Maybe you will agree. I mean, I think people like you and I who are in professional services, we have a lot of contacts on social contacts online. Just yesterday, I got one from a doctor in a doctor's outfit. Looked very professional, wanted to join my network. And as I dug into researching who he was and what he was, I think that was a front email. And I think people who just click anyone who wants to join their network has to be careful. You have to screen people. And I've always said that. Just don't join up with anybody who sends it out to you. Find out who they are. And make sure that they really are connected to people, that they know a lot of people doing business with people there should be references. But just don't make anyone part of your network.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And people use that to their advantage. They get in your network and you don't know who they are. And then, you think they're safe because you're in the same network, and really you have no idea who this person is. So, it goes to what I was saying in the beginning. You got to be vigilant, and you just have to be smart and think, and don't just click. Think before you click. That's what our IT people say.
Think before you click. It sounds simple.
You like that one?
Once you do, you got a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy what this stuff can do, and it's scary. But there's a lot of technology out there, and just training people can go a long way to keeping things safe. But it's the world we live in now, and it's even worse since the pandemic began because so much more is online, and everyone's working remote, and everything's being done online these days. So, you've really got to be careful with it. And we're seeing usually when you have a recession and you have times like this, that's when fraud goes up. So it's out there, and just businesses need to be careful.
Good. Again, everybody, we're speaking to Rich Hirschen, partner at Gray & Gray. Rich, you've always been an important part of Radio Entrepreneurs. We try to get you on every single week to fill us in. If someone is looking for you, how would they find you?
You can go to our website, which is ggcpas.com, or I can be emailed at rhirschen@ggcpas.com.
Right. I want to remind everybody, this is Radio Entrepreneurs, and we're going to continue to stream stories on entrepreneurship and business in this new economy, thanks to people like Rich Hirschen and Gray & Gray. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.